Hello?
Do the intro.
I did not hear your clap.
I clapped at the same time you did, that's why.
Well, shit, okay, well, this is staying in. Hello and welcome, fellow film buffs. I'm Zach Droll, and I'm joined by my co-host and fellow cinephile, Hunter Venalirup.
I'm here to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
We're not watching They Lived. What?
I know, but we're watching Kick-Ass.
So... How's it going, man?
It's going pretty good, dude. I got a new job coming up, so that's going to be interesting. We're going to have to rearrange a lot of the podcast. And then you let me know that you're going to be AFK for 2 weeks when you're moving upstate to go to school. So I was like, we got to rethink a lot of our recording days. So well, it's going to be an interesting little conundrum that we have going on.
I was putting that out there because just in case if I pack up, like, say, like the week before I have to leave. Because I'm bringing up this PC, and I'm bringing up a lot of clothes.
Yeah, and you do a lot of you do a lot of shows and podcasts and stuff. So you're gonna have to put everything on hold for a bit.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be fun.
So I was bringing this up before we started recording. Thanks to a lovely conversation I had on Tinder, I have a new standard.
Yeah, you don't got to go too much into detail on it because that's not that cool to do. But give us a little bit of what your new standards are because, I love it.
My new standards are now, is Helen Keller real? That's a question that I'm now just opening up with, or I'm putting in the middle.
Because you had a genuinely scary experience, and I was like... At first, I was like, because you sent me some of the screenshots of it afterwards, and I was like, she seems like she's being playful and she's funny.
Doubled down on it,
and man. Then, you said she was, like, going hard, and I was like, oh, man, like, we can't have this.
Because, like, you were getting mad at me. I'm like, dude, she doubled down. You don't double down on a joke when you see genuine concern.
Yeah. I'm just no, because, I know it's a big joke now, and some people do believe that she's not real for whatever reason. I mean, and even if we find out that she wasn't real, that's just stupid to believe that, I don't know. Like, if the government was like, yeah, we made it up, I'm gonna be like, fucking why?
It's just so, that's... And then... And then the final question I threw out there...
She's a government pawn.
Does the queen have scales? Probably. Huh?
Dude, you tell me the queen's not a reptilian? You're wrong.
Still, I saw that. I was like, oh, okay. Well, done. Unmatch. Cool. Oh, God, that's... Yeah, not to go too much into detail. That's just how, a Tinder conversation I had went, and now, because of that, I have a new question.
Yeah.
But other than that, guys, we are the Box Office Losers. Each and every week, we deep dive into the movie spirit to watch and review any and all things to ever grace the silver screen or your TV screen.
Woo-woo.
This week, we are talking about Kick-Ass.
Hell yeah, dude. Based off a comic book, Matthew Vaughn's first adaptation of a comic, I believe. And, dude, there's gonna be some crazy shit.
So, I read all the comics for Kick-Ass. I read Volume 1... Oh.
Did you read all the Dave Lizewski, how do you pronounce his last name? Lizewski years? He has 4 volumes, or three and a half volumes, because you count one of the books.
Well, I have them all right here on my desk. I took them out of storage.
Oh, you have them all in singles? Or in,
no,
send me a picture.
I have the volumes, like the big books.
Send me a picture. Because I gotta tell you if there's a new one that you gotta get.
No.
To complete your collection. There should be 3 or 4.
There is Kick-Ass, The Prelude to Hit Girl, Kick-Ass 2, and then Kick-Ass 3.
Oh yeah, you got all the Dave Leibowitz years. They just released a new Kick-Ass book, not written by Mark Millar, but it's called The New Girl. It's got Hit Girl still in and Hit Girl still doing stuff, but this chick comes back from overseas after the military, and she's trying to figure something out with her daughter, and then she becomes the new Kick-Ass. It's weird.
Well, what's weird is at the end of Kick-Ass 3, Hit Girl was trying to do some recruitment.
Yeah. It just sucks that we're never going to get a Kick-Ass 3 movie because Kick-Ass 2 is so bad.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that when we get there. So, Kick-Ass is a 2010 black comedy superhero film directed by Matthew Vaughn from a screenplay by Jane Goldman and Vaughn himself. It is based on the comic book of the same name by Mark Millar, who's done a plethora of comic books, including Wanted, which got adapted. He did Jupiter's Legacy, which just got adapted into a Netflix series. And he has a deal with Netflix to get most of his stuff adapted as films or anime series. So, we're going to be talking about a lot of Mark Millar at some point down the line. And with art by John Romita Jr., who is known for Kick-Ass, some Superman stuff, and Action Comics. So, we got an all-star team on this, whether it's through the movie or through the comic. This is great stuff to talk about. The story tells the story of an ordinary teenager, Dave Lizewski. Lizewski? This is Mike Wazowski. Who sets out to become Dave Wazowski. Sets out to become a real-life superhero, calling himself Kick-Ass. Dave gets caught up in a bigger fight when he meets Big Daddy, a former cop who, in his quest to bring down the crime boss, Frank Damasio, and his son, D'Amico. That's what it is. And his son, Red Mist, fucking McLovin, has trained his 11-year-old daughter to become a ruthless vigilante known as Hit Girl. Hell yeah.
So, I believe, this was America's introduction to Aaron Taylor Johnson?
I believe it's one of the introductions to him. I think he had, 2 movies to come out around this time where he was getting big.
And this also was the Nerdverse introduction to Chloë Grace Moretz.
Yeah.
Because she did a lot of stuff beforehand.
Yeah, and this was before Aaron Taylor Johnson went by Aaron Taylor Johnson, just went by Aaron Johnson.
Huh, I did not know that.
Yeah. Yeah, Aaron Johnson was in a lot of Britishy movies. He did a couple TV shows, and then I believe, Nowhere Boy and Kick-Ass were his first, American films.
But Kick-Ass was kind of the one that...
Yeah, Kick-Ass was the mainstream one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you want to kick us off with this cast? Because I will fucking butcher every name here besides Nicolas Cage.
These are all pretty good, for the most part. So, we have Aaron Johnson as Dave Wazowski / Kick-Ass. We have Christopher Mintz-Plasse McLovin as Chris D'Amico, a.k.a. Red Mist. Got Mark Strong as Frank D'Amico. And Mark Strong actually is friends with Matthew Vaughn. That's why he was Merlin in the Kingsman movies.
Yeah.
And Millar also did the Kingsman movies, the comic books. You got Chloë Grace Moretz as Mindy McCready, a.k.a. Hit Girl. You got Nic Cage as Damon McCready, Big Daddy. Lindsay Finesca as Katie DeMax.
Yeah.
Clark Duke as Marty Eisenberg. Evan Peters as Todd Hayes. And Sophie Wu as Erica Cho.
A lot of people seeing Evan Peters and Aaron Taylor Johnson here. Everyone just points back to this.
Tale of Two Quicksilvers.
Yeah. And it's so cool for that, to be honest. Yeah. And with the casting of Nic Cage, oh my god,
who's phenomenal in this movie.
He went hard on some scenes as well.
I feel like Nic Cage is honestly one of the best actors of all time, only because of the range of things he does and how much he brings to the table, depending on what the project is.
I have Wally's Wonderland, or that Five Nights at Freddy's one that he did.
Yeah, it was one of the test scripts.
I have not watched it yet. I just have it.
Nice. I have to watch it. We should watch it for the show, so we both have to watch it.
Well, it's not on Movies Anywhere. It's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I got Amazon Prime, I think.
And you have to buy it, not
let's watch on the Fire Stick then.
Okay.
I'll just be an illegal boy.
Yeah, his range is so good.
Nic Cage either does really, really bad movies. Like last year, I watched a movie called Kill Chain, where he was just he was just in it and it was weird. But then you watch stuff like Mandy or Color Out of Space or Kick-Ass, and you're like, he brings a lot to the table when he believes in a project.
Yeah.
When he's just doing it for money because he gambled a lot of his shit away when he was young because he's dumb. He's got a lot of merit to him.
Now, speaking of money.
Oh, yeah, the budget.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the budget. The budget here was between $28 to $30 million. And the box office, it killed $96.2 million.
Well, it killed for the budget.
Yeah, it definitely made its money back, and along with the advertising, which is nice. I think I didn't start getting into Kick-Ass until when Kick-Ass 2 was coming out.
Yeah, I saw the first Kick-Ass movie when it came out. I don't think in theaters, but on DVD, so probably a couple months later.
Yeah.
And my dad was like, hey, this is like a more violent-y comedy superhero movie. And I was like, oh, that sounds dope. Because we didn't really have the MCU right now at this point. It, like, just started up. We had, like, Iron Man and Hulk, and I think Thor was coming out this year. So
yeah, because this was 2010.
Yeah, this was, like, OG MCU. Like, we had just 2 okay movies.
Yeah.
Before we started getting into the crazy shit. So, watching this, I was like, okay, cool. I'm watching it, and I'm like, this is really good. And then you see Chloë Grace Moretz, and I was like, boom, crush, done. You know? Like, I was the same age. So dude, me and Chloë Grace Moretz are like, I think 3 months apart. I think she's older than me by like 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, dude, imagine the path I took if I was a fucking actor child. Man, I wish.
It's like I got into this, I think, my sophomore or junior year of high school. Because I think like one of the first things that I bought with money that I was getting from like just chores and working around the house was the movie. Then I picked up the comic book. Then I picked up the second comic book. Then I picked up the second movie.
Yeah, I forget if I have the comics in single issues kicking around somewhere, because I know I have some Kick-Ass. I just don't have any of it in trade.
Oh,
I got to pick up the trade.
I made sure, because I'm not a single issue type person, and you know that.
I used to be a single issue guy, and now I'm just like, I want to display stuff on a shelf, and I need trades, and I like reading comics. I don't have room for single issues. I have 20 long boxes, which fit about 1,000 comics. I have like 20,000 comics sitting around my house.
I narrowed mine down because I think I have the first 4 issues of Batman New 52. I have
that's a good read.
I have the complete set for Death Note.
By the way, that Batman book, if you have it in decent condition, it's like $80.
Which one?
For Batman #1 for New 52.
Well, like the volume, like the volume one, like.
Oh,
like...
I thought you meant I thought you meant singles because you said the first 4 issues. Okay, no, the first 4 volumes.
Yes.
You gotta
specify.
Yeah, you gotta specify. Comics are particular.
I was about to say, okay, cool.
Still
I also
dope,
have, because I with those comic series, I actually picked up the collector's edition of the volumes. So I have.
Oh, those
Joker
might be
mask.
actually worth something though, because they probably don't print those anymore.
Because I have the Joker mask. I have the Court of Owls mask.
Ooh, nice.
Which is the Court of Owls mask is so fucking cool.
Yeah, you got to cosplay in that.
If I could even
wear
just wear that.
Mask on.
I could even wear that just for the outlaw costume, as well. I could. If I'm running a story angle where I attack someone.
Maybe. Yeah, as like a disguise.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. All right, back to the movie though.
Yeah. Straying too far off.
Yeah, too far off. We don't need to go too far. But yeah, no, at least we're talking about comics. And I forgot that you're kind of a fan of comic books. You got to send me your graphic novel shelf.
Oh, it's not a shelf. It's inside my entertainment center.
Still, that's a shelf.
Yeah.
So this is actually interesting. Mark Millar is so real quick. I'm gonna tell you how Mark Millar got into comic books because I think it's a little scummy, but also he's a goddamn genius. So originally he's from the UK. I think he's Scottish, but he's from the UK.
Yeah.
And he wrote a couple books like in the UK comic book market, and he wanted to branch out into more of American comics. So back in the day, I forget what book he first pushed. I think it was American Jesus or Wanted. And he was like, hey, Image, I got this book coming out, and I want you guys to check it out. So he pitched it out to Image. He also pitched the book to DC back in the day. And he went, hey, Image, DC's really talking about my book. They look like they're going to get it. Do you want it? And then he sent the same email to DC going, hey, DC, Image really wants my book. Do you want it? So he created a bidding war over his book, even though there was no bidding war going on.
That's not scummy. That's fucking genius.
It's a little bit scummy, but he's a goddamn genius.
Okay, so
that's how Mark Millar got in the comics.
That picked up this comic then.
No, I think Icon did this. Icon was like a low-key subsidiary of Marvel.
Okay.
Yeah, Wanted, I think, was his first book that came out.
Hey, but if you think about it,
besides American Jesus,
that means technically Kick-Ass is a part of the Marvel universe within the multiverse.
No, Icon is weird. Icon, like a lot of the Icon books got reverted over to Image because they were like independent Marvel books where Marvel was trying to be Image because Image was making money. It's a weird, complicated system. I think we probably talked about it on an episode of my comic book podcast, which I'll pimp out later, so you guys can like go dig for that. Or we'll do a Mark Millar episode sometime soon because he's got a lot of stuff to talk about with him.
If you guys do that, I would like to talk about the Kick-Ass comics, as I actually these were the comics of my fucking childhood.
Maybe before you go upstate, we can get you on an episode.
Yeah.
Talk about Mark Millar. We can help you because he writes a lot of edgy stuff too. So we can do like edgy comics and have you come in and talk about other comics you've read from Mark Millar. Or anything
I've only read Kick-Ass.
Well, I'd give you a list of books to check out.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking of getting the Kingsman one.
Oh, Kingsman's good. But let's talk about the Mark Millar and Kick-Ass. So the rights of the film version of the first volume of Kick-Ass were actually sold before even the first issue was published. So with comic books, you write the book and then you pitch it out to people, and it takes about a year to get that pushed through, depending on what the company's doing and how the contracts are set up.
Yeah.
So you can sell your comic as a movie beforehand. It happens to a lot of people because movies take like 2 or 3 years to make.
This is why the comic book is so fucking different.
Yeah, it says developed in parallel. The film writers took a different story, took it into a different story direction, to reach many of the same conclusions. It still ends relatively the same, but comic book writer Mark Millar acknowledges the differences and explains that a comic usually has 8 acts, while a film can only have 3.
I think personally the comic book has a better ring. I mean, actually, because I have books, I have them all right here.
Yeah.
With kind of like just overall like Dave and Mindy talking, like she says, and I quote, would you give me a hug? My daddy just died. That's what she says to Dave. Yeah. Kind of like after she just kills everyone. I think she kills everyone. She kind of just like she wants at least an embrace of some sort. Mm-hmm. And I kind of like that ending more because it gives Mindy more humility versus kind of what we got in the movie.
Oh yeah, they kind of made her more of just like a badass 12-year-old.
Yeah.
She still has human moments. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of her stuff is, oh, she's badass. And I was trying to get, when I was looking for Rotten Tomato reviews, a lot of them were like, Hit Girl's the best, Chloë Grace Moretz steals the show, how come we haven't seen a Hit Girl movie, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, I know she was great in this movie, but you also got to talk about fucking Aaron Johnson, who did great as well, and Nic Cage, who slayed.
Yeah.
So, and even fucking McLovin was good. He was a bit underused, but he was good.
I'll get more into kind of like Nic Cage's character. Because like it's it's vastly different in the comics, and how he dies is a lot more brutal in the comics.
Well, yeah, they can't go too hard on some of that stuff. Plus, if Millar wasn't telling them how that was going to happen, then
Because like when I read that, I was like, holy shit. It's bad. All right, back on track because we keep on straying.
There's a lot of good stuff to talk about.
Vaughn said that we wrote the script and the comic at the same time, so it was very sort of collaborative, organic process. I met Milar at the premiere of Stardust. We got on...
Oh, God, Stardust.
I don't even know what movie that is.
It's like Star Wars meets Peter Pan, but like
Oh, Lord.
It's fucking weird. It's not like legit Star Wars. It's more Peter Pan-y, but there's some sci-fi elements. But it's like really fucking weird. As long as it's the movie I'm thinking of.
Oh, Lord.
I'll look it up real quick.
I'm pretty sure it probably is then. We got on really well. I knew who he was.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's got Charlie Cox as the main character. Fucking Daredevil, dude. Yeah.
Okay, we might add that to the list then.
Yeah, I'll send you the trailer.
Yes. I knew who he was and what he had done, but I didn't know him. He pitched me an idea. I said, that's great. He then wrote a synopsis. I went, that's great. Let's do it now. You write the comic, I'll write the script. Jane Goodman, one of the screenwriters, said that when she works with Vaughn, she does the construction work and the interior design while Vaughn acts as the architect.
Well, yeah, because Vaughn's mostly a director.
That's pretty much how kind of we were doing inside the murderer's mind. You were kind of constructing and designing the script. I was kind of giving a basic layout.
I'm decent at scripting things. I'm actually writing a comic book right now with my coworker, and he does a lot of the plotting, and he'll do some dialogue, but then I'll spice it up. So, and I'm decent at dialogue work. It depends on what kind of stuff we're actually talking about. I'm decent with, current day millennial jargon. I got to work on my, actual characters, but we'll get there. You laid out the groundwork, and you did 90% of the dialogue, and when I was editing the script, I didn't change that much. I just updated some stuff and changed the punctuation.
Some of the areas just didn't feel natural speaking areas.
Yeah, which is why you always need somebody to look at it and to ebb and flow that shit.
The funny thing is, even when the original plan for that script was to get the group that I was rolling with at that time to help out with it.
Yeah.
But I still got a decent enough friend group to work with it. So
yeah,
there's that.
Hey man, I would have still been down to do it, dog. Are you going upstate for movie stuff?
Yeah, I'm still continuing my degree.
Are you gonna try to film something while you're up there?
I don't know.
Well, because if you take like a class, then they're like, oh, you got to film a short film. You could do like a test script for it, with some people.
Yeah, it just all depends on what.
I wouldn't be opposed to making like a day trip over there and hitting it up. It's not too far away.
It's 5 hours, and I looked on the map. I am right near Toronto.
Yeah, well, me and Courtney want to go to Canada at some point soon once everything is lifted, so maybe we'll see.
Yeah, I'm like a bridge away from Toronto.
Sorry, nice.
Do you want to pick up the other paragraph?
Yeah, so Millar said that the screenwriters Goldman and Vaughn had made a chick flick, in quotes, having placed more emphasis on the character's emotions, and particularly in having softened the character of Katie. Millar stated that a film audience would have a difficult time accepting Dave and Katie not being together. Yeah, while the comic audience would be more easily to accept the idea. I don't know. I think this gave us a pretty good leeway. They thought Dave was gay until he said he wasn't, and then they had sex. I don't know.
I'm gonna bring up the comic version of this.
Yeah, what happens in the comic?
So, he tells her that he's not gay, and then her boyfriend beats the shit out of him.
Oh, lame.
Because, remember, I'm pretty sure, the tanning thing still, like the tanning lotion still happens in the comics.
Yeah.
So, at that point, Katie is justified in having her boyfriend beat the living piss out of him. Because at that point, he just did stuff just to either see her partially naked or see her just in her underwear.
You could be right. I have to read the book. I haven't read it in forever. I think I read like 1 or 2 issues. I know I read the sequels. I just haven't read the original. Where are we at? Frank Lovis of Film Journal International said that Katie is much less Mean Girls in the film than the comic, and that the romance between Dave and Katie proves a needed counterbalance to otherwise perverse sense of optimism being stripped away layer by layer, down below angry cynicism and headed straight down to the whole of nihilism. Kenneth Turin of the LA Times said that the romance provides an appealing backdrop to the more unnerving aspects of the film as it plays out. Other changes, including having Red Mist to be the secret antagonist for the start, as well as making him less outright villainous. And D'Amico's mob initially thinking Kick-Ass is the one who slaughtered his men.
Yeah.
So in the comic books, they know it's not Kick-Ass, but then Kick-Ass starts teaming up with Big Daddy, and then they're like, ah, shit, okay. And then Red Mist was a superhero at the beginning, or a supervillain at the beginning, and instead of just being like a kid, to my knowledge. At least that's what it seems like it's stated here.
And this paragraph, I was going to mention this. I think I have this in my notes. This next paragraph, I'll skip over that in my notes then when we get to it.
Yeah.
So in the original comic books, Big Daddy is characterized not as an ex-cop, but as a former accountant who has been motivated to fight crime by a desire to escape from his life and his love of comic books. In the film, his purported origin and motivations are genuine. Writer Mark Millar stated that the revelation about Big Daddy's background would not have worked in the film adaptation and would have ruined the movie.
If he was just some guy who wanted to be a superhero, yeah, it would have been fucking stupid.
Yes, but also how he died would have been a lot better in the movie. The comic artist John Romita Jr. stated that Big Daddy's story in the film works better. Stopping short. You love him better in the film. Yeah, I loved him better in the film, but I think if they would have used his death, if they actually wrote his death in the comic at the time, then adapted it to movie, would have been so much better. I'm gonna get into how he died now because they brought this up. So in the movie, Big Daddy dies by being burned alive, essentially.
Yeah.
In the comic, he gets a deagle to the back of his head. His face blows out the front of him.
That's a very Mark Millar move.
And if you are to see that in comic wise, if you see that not comic in film wise, that's a bit more impactful.
It's more impactful, but also it's like, oh, he just got shot in the back of the head, whatever.
No, but I know his is like it's very graphic.
Yeah, I know how Mark Millar is. He's very gory and graphic. You're gonna like Wanted.
And other aspects, I personally enjoy the comics a lot more because I also love how
the source material is usually a lot better for independent comic books.
I love how the art is, because I think in one frame, Hit Girl is using a flamethrower, and the way it's kind of like colored, it lights up the entire page, both metaphorically and like physically. It feels like a light is actually illuminating off of this.
Yeah, and that's a lot of the Romita stuff,
which is like really cool.
Yeah, they know what they're doing over in the comic industry, man.
Yeah.
You should rework your Inside the Murderer's Mind script as a comic book.
I would need you for that one.
Oh yeah, you know I'd help.
I would 100% need you for that one.
Because as you're pitching it as a spec script, you can also pitch it as a movie, just how Mark Millar did.
Yeah.
So 2 for 1, baby. Let's get back into this, though. The climax of the film differs significantly from the comics with the use of jetpack and rocket launcher. Millar called this necessary as we're building up so much stuff that we needed some Luke Skywalker blowing up the Death Star moment. Comic writer Stephen Grant argued that the film cheated on its premise of a real-life superhero by having these increasingly fantastic events, and that this is why it works. That's where much of the humor comes from. When the film finally makes the notion to be fantasy and go explicit, we're already so deep into the magician's act that our instincts are to play along. Vaughn initially went to Sony, which distributed Layer Cake, which I think is one of his other films, but he rejected calls to tone down the violence. Other studios expressed interest, but wanted to make the characters older. In particular, studios wanted to change Hit Girl's age to make her an adult, probably like 18, 19 years old. Goldman said that while the studio executives said that it would be less offensive to portray Hit Girl as a teenager, Goldman argued that it would have been more offensive since as a teenager, Hit Girl would have been sexualized. Goldman said that Hit Girl was not supposed to be sexualized. Yeah. This is why they made her fucking 12. If she was like the same age as Dave or older, they definitely would have had a scene in there where she was like changing clothes or some shit just to be like, look, another love interest for Dave potentially. Ooh.
And I'm happy that like throughout the film series, they kept Hit Girl's costume the exact same.
Yeah, I think they updated a little bit in 2 because obviously Chloe got like taller.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, they just made it fit her pretty much.
Yeah, they made it fit, and I think they gave it a little bit more armor in the second one.
Oh man, the second one, it's okay. It just could be a lot better.
Yeah, like I think they spent too much on casting instead of like doing a lot more work on the script because they just like, we need Jim Carrey. And I was like, all right.
And now Jim Carrey regrets being a part of this film.
Yeah, because it was bad.
He also said he's a pacifist now.
I think he was always a pacifist.
Vaughn had a little trouble adapting to film, as the film had no studio. The big studio doubted the success of adaptation as a violent superhero, which made the film be independently financed, but this gave him the freedom to make the film the way he imagined. Without having to worry about high censorship, Vaughn believed enough in the project to raise the money himself. Christopher Mintz-Plasse, just Red Mist.
Everybody knows him as McLovin.
Yeah. Said the creators of the film were wondering where a distributor would pick up the movie. On the set, Vaughn jokingly referred to Kick-Ass as something that was going to be the most expensive home movie I ever made. The 2D and 3D comic book sequences in the movie took almost 2 years to finish. Romita created the panels. Tom Palmer did the ink, and Dean White did the color. Vaughn gives Romita a crate blanche on the artist direction of the sequence.
Yeah, I don't know how that is.
I brought up the kind of like the comic style sequences. So good in this movie. Do you want to pick up the next paragraph? No, or next two?
Yeah, this is the end of the notes. So, a video game based on the film was developed by Frozen Codebase. It was released through the App Store on April 15th, 2010 for iPhone and iPad Touch.
Let's see if it's still a game.
iPod Touch. The initial Apple platform release was reportedly an unfinished beta version, and it was withdrawn from circulation pending a relaunch to a finished version. The game was then released on PlayStation Network 2 weeks later. Kick-Ass, Hit Girl, and Big Daddy are playable characters, and the game features Facebook missions and integration. Both versions of the games received negative reviews. I think I played the original Kick-Ass game. It's not too bad. It's just not good.
It's no longer a game.
Yeah, it's just like the Watchmen game. It's good, but like it's not.
I can't even find it. It's buried underneath Subway Surfer in Minecraft.
Damn. Despite various setbacks and certainly an uncertainty as to whether the sequel would even materialize, on May 8th, 2012, it was reported that a sequel would be distributed by Universal Studios and that Matt Vaughn has chosen Jeff Wadlow, who also wrote the script, to direct the sequel. Aaron Johnson and Chloë Grace Moretz reprised their roles as Kick-Ass and Hit Girl. And Christopher Mintz-Plasse returns as the main villain, going by the name The Motherfucker. The film was released August 14th, 2013, in the UK 2 days later, to mostly negative reviews, averaging at about like a 30 to 40% on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah. So I've actually never seen the sequel.
Seeing that like it was distributed by Universal, this is why Kick-Ass 1 is not on Movies Anywhere, but Kick-Ass 2 is on Movies Anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, like, when you had texted me, you're like, "Hey, is Kick-Ass on Movies Anywhere?" Nope, but the sequel is. Cool. It's like, well,
it's weird.
Can't win them all. Mm-hmm. Oh God, you got a bit of a beefy plot to run through, and no, I have no fun notes.
Oh, it's all good.
I have no fun facts. I got fun facts for the one that we're recording for the future episode, but nothing else.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what fun facts you got because there's a lot of shit that goes on in that movie.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait to talk about it. I don't know if I'm going to have any mid-movie notes, though, because there's no real, like, oh, man. I just like, main characters. Plot. Dave Lizewski is an ordinary teenager who lives in Staten Island, New York. Inspired by comic books, Dave plans to become a real-life superhero. He purchases and modifies a scuba diving suit and arms himself with batons. During his first outing, he gets stabbed and then hit by a car. After recovering, he gains the capacity to endure pain and enhance durability due to having some of his bones replaced with metal.
He lives in Staten Island, but that kind of looks like the same street from Spider-Man.
They probably just said he lives in Staten Island and then just filmed in New York.
Probably filmed in Queens. Well, all this was filmed in the UK. I know.
Well, that makes even more sense.
Okay, this is my one fun fact. For my wrestling fans who used to watch What Culture but now watch wrestling news now, I think.
Oh, yeah, because the What Culture wrestling guy decided to be bad.
So Adam Blombier, he actually was a background character in the comic book shop.
Nice.
So, yeah. There we go.
There you go. Fun fact. In his absence from school, a rumor spreads that Dave is gay. As a result, his longtime crush, Katie, immediately attempts to become his friend, which I think is stupid. Unhappy with the misunderstanding, Dave nevertheless appreciates the opportunity to get closer to Katie.
She just wanted a token gay friend, man. Leave her alone.
Yeah. Dave returns to crime fighting and gains notoriety after saving a man from a gang attack, calling himself Kick-Ass as he sets up a MySpace account, oh god, where he can be contacted for help. Responding to a request from Katie, he confronts a drug dealer, Rasul, who has been harassing her. At Rasul's place, Kick-Ass is quickly overwhelmed by Rasul's thugs, but before they can kill him, two costume vigilantes, Hit Girl and her father Big Daddy, intervene, easily slaughtering the thugs and leaving with their money. After coming home, Dave realizes he is way over his head and plans to give up crime fighting. However, Hit Girl and Big Daddy pay him a visit and encourage him by also threatening him.
Yeah.
Big Daddy's real identity is Damon McCready, formerly an honest cop framed by mafia boss Frank D'Amico. He was jailed. His wife committed suicide, leaving behind his daughter Mindy. Against the protest of his former partner Marcus Williams, who's only in here for like 2 seconds, Damon trains himself and Mindy as for preparation for getting revenge on Frank. They have been undermining Frank's operations by raiding his warehouses, robbing his money, and destroying his drugs. I didn't say the guy looked like Batman.
I didn't say Batman. Oh, you kind of did.
Yeah. Frank believes Kick-Ass is responsible for the attacks and targets him. Though he accidentally kills a party entertainer who is dressed like Kick-Ass, Frank's son Chris suggests a different approach. He poses as a new vigilante, Red Mist, and befriends Kick-Ass. He plans to lure Kick-Ass into Frank's lumber warehouse and unmask him. However, they find the warehouse on fire and Frank's men dead. Red Mist retrieves a hidden camera he earlier placed in a warehouse and sees recorded footage of Big Daddy killing the man and burning the warehouse. Red Mist and Kick-Ass part ways. D'Amico watches the footage and learns of Big Daddy and Hit Girl. Dude, so if you go back and watch if you go back and watch the scene where Christopher Mintz-Plasse gets the teddy bear and goes, yeah, I used to get her to spy on the babysitter when she was watching me. It's the babysitter in the shower.
Yeah, apparently
they hid it in the bathroom.
So
he was spying on her for a good reason.
Wink,
wink.
I
fucking weird.
I want to bring up just a little touch note. So Hit Girl's mom, or just Big Daddy's wife, does not kill herself in the comics. After a bit, she leaves him for his friend, or just leaves him for Marcus, the cop.
Oh, that sucks. He probably gets too caught up in he's crazy, and then she's like, no.
Yeah, she was like,
yeah, that happens a lot. She's like, pass, bro. You're pretending you're a superhero. Bye-bye. So, yeah. Following the event, Dave decides to quit being Kick-Ass. He reveals his identity to Katie and clears up the misunderstanding about him being gay. She forgives him and becomes his girlfriend. However, Red Mist contacts him again, a lot, and tricks him into revealing Big Daddy and Hit Girl's location. At one of Big Daddy's safe houses, Red Mist shoots Hit Girl out a window, and Frank's men capture Big Daddy and Kick-Ass. Frank intends to have his thugs torture and execute their captives in a live internet broadcast. While Kick-Ass and Big Daddy are being beaten by Frank's gangsters, Hit Girl, having survived the shooting, storms the hideout and kills all of the gangsters. During the fight, one thug sets Big Daddy on fire. Big Daddy and Mindy say a tearful farewell before he dies of his burns. Kick-Ass and Hit Girl then resolve to defeat Frank D'Amico once and for all. Hit Girl infiltrates Frank's headquarters and kills numerous guards and henchmen before running out of bullets. When she is cornered by the thugs, Kick-Ass arrives on a jetpack fitted with miniguns and kills the remaining 3 thugs. Kick-Ass and Hit Girl then take on Frank and Red Mist. Kick-Ass fights Red Mist, which results in them knocking each other out. Frank overpowers an exhausted Hit Girl, because she's 12, before he can kill her. Yeah, beating up a 12-year-old girl. Good job, Frank. Before he can kill her, though, Kick-Ass regains consciousness and blasts Frank out a window with the bazooka, killing him, which is one of the coolest things to see. Dave and Mindy retire from crime fighting. Marcus becomes Mindy's guardian, and she enrolls at Dave's school. Meanwhile, Chris D'Amico, Red Mist, sits in his father's office dressed in an upgraded suit. Facing the camera, he says, as a great man once said, "Wait till they get a load of me before firing a gun at the screen."
So, I think I keep on remembering that I actually do have fun facts, but they blank on me until I actually remember.
That happens.
When Big Daddy was getting burned, he's actually screaming out comic book titles.
Yeah, I think that's actually commands to tell tell Hit Girl where they are.
I think like
the goons.
You got like I forgot what the name. I know one was called Kryptonite. Then I think the other one was Death or Robin.
Mm-hmm.
Was the one that was the final comic.
Yeah, I think he's yelling them as he uses them as codes for Hit Girl.
I'm gonna look that up real quick.
That's what I think they are.
They are codes. I just remember for some reason I don't remember which ones he set off.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm pretty sure IMDb can give us that. Come on, where are the... Okay, I guess not. Quotes? Yes.
Yes.
Come on, it's probably at the end. Right? Take over. I don't see anything, so fuck it. So because the main manhunter here has no mid-movie notes because
I was too busy doing stuff, and also I've seen this movie.
Oh no, I've seen this movie a lot of times.
Hard to genuinely react to certain things. I like doing my mid-movie notes when I haven't seen it, so I can genuinely react.
So I said I may or may not have a lot of notes to be determined. I have quite a bit. What happened? So this is when the guy's jumping off the building. And the people are clapping. What happens if it was a jumper? They just clapped for a suicide.
Hey man.
Which is they pretty much did.
Yeah.
And
Dave goes, that guy has a mental problem.
And then, this was America's intro to Aaron Taylor Johnson, really. MySpace, holy shit, this is old. Evan Peters. And so, this is a very, a blinking you'll miss it. They have a product placement for Gap. And it's Dave's pants that he takes off.
When he's jerking off to his hot teacher?
Well, that also to the African ladies of the tribe.
Oh, yeah, that was fucking weird.
So, what's funny is, at least, his teacher was a little bit flattered. Because you can tell by her face. Because she's like, okay. At least
in one of the scenes, she's staring at her boobs, and she's like, shouldn't you be reading? And he's like, oh, sorry. And then she smirks. I'm like... Okay,
yeah,
that's weird. Let's just blow past that.
It's a smirk, but also she feels flattered at least.
I mean, hey,
Nicolas
effing
Cage. Nicolas effing Cage. God damn,
he was good at this.
This is when Kick-Ass setting up his MySpace page. No flip phone has that high def of a camera.
Yeah.
I'm putting this out there. The comic is far more superior.
They usually are.
Taser to the brain.
That guy's probably dead.
Hit Girl has the well. Remember, he was dead. That was Razul.
Yeah.
Hit Girl has the best fight sequences.
She does.
You ever realize Kick-Ass is the most New York hero ever? I say this because he's wearing Timbs.
I I never noticed that they were Timbs. I thought they were fucking little boots.
No, they're Timbs.
He's the most New York hero. He's wearing Timbs. Do you think Spider-Man wears Timbs?
No, but Miles Morales did.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Into the Spider-Verse.
A lot of people turn into goop.
What do you mean?
You got the mob guy who got put into a microwave.
Oh yeah, you got the guy who got crushed.
People get shot. People get limbs chopped off. They're pretty much goop at that point.
Yes, some guy runs into Hit Girl's staff and like dies.
Yeah. The cinematography for the Big Daddy origin story is perfect. This is the transition from 2D to 3D comic.
Yeah, that was done by John Romita.
Nicolas Cage acting here is fucking awesome. This was when him and Marcus are talking, and he goes like, the person who owes her childhood is Frank the Miko. Yeah. Such a good he knows when to be a very serious person.
Oh yeah,
it's so good. And this is when they were transitioning from the teddy bear feed to like the actual scene.
Oh, that was
spotless.
Dope. Yeah.
Like I did not notice a single flaw there.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course the warehouse scene is epic.
It is.
This is what so Katie calls Dave, like, oh hey, what are you up to? And he goes like, oh, I got a kick-ass thing to do. Mm-hmm. And she's like, okay, I care a lot about you. And he goes, oh, I care a lot about you too. And then Katie just hangs up.
Nice.
Doesn't say goodbye. Just goes, okay. Hangs up.
Hey man, I like you. Beep.
Now with this last bit of the movie, I will be doing a lot of comparisons to the comics, as I mentioned. The deaths and shit. This is when Dave's like, man, I'll never get to know what happens with Lost. You don't want to know what happens with Lost.
Yeah, Lost is fucking poopy.
Like that ending I hear is just so bad.
Yeah, so we'll talk about the last season of Lost.
This is when Dave and Minty go back to the actual apartment for Hit Girl and Big Daddy. When Dave looks into the mirror and sees his wounds for the first time after the beating, gave me actual chills at this time.
Yeah, because he's like, oh man, this is real.
Because like it's shot so it's shot with a nice dim lighting, and he's like, okay, this is what happens. Mm-hmm. And now this is Hit Girl's second slaughter scene. Yeah. Bad Reputation by Joan Jett and the Blackhearts is a nice touch. Reputation. Such a nice touch for her.
It works.
And with that shot from the bazooka, Frank is raining from the sky.
Yeah. You have blood rain for at least like good 2 minutes.
Yeah, he's actually like a lot of people down there just got their day ruined.
Yep.
And that is all my notes. I try my best with movies that I see. I've already seen to take notes. Yeah. I did that with our next movie that we're watching. And like it's hard to do that sometimes.
Yeah.
I see why you don't do it as often.
Yeah, because I like having genuine reactions. Because like I don't like forcing notes because it's just me going, oh man, this.
Well, like, I tend to do that for myself because it's just something I have to. I like making these episodes a little bit more padded out.
I mean, this one's doing pretty good so far, so.
Yeah. Well, that's because they're comic books and shit.
Yeah, and it has decent notes to talk about.
Yeah.
So, on Rotten Tomatoes, this film holds an approval rating of 76%, based on 266 reviews, and an average rating of 7.1 out of 10, with an audience score of 81%. The site's critical consensus reads, not for the faint of heart. Sorry, I got a text. Not for the faint of heart, Kick-Ass takes the comic book adaptation genre to new levels of visual style, bloody violence, and gleeful profanity. Dude, love it.
All right.
You gave it a slightly better review than me, so hit it up, dog.
This is from Leslie Comel.
Comel?
of Cinema Siren. For those of you curious of an off-kilter enough to give it a try, you'll see a beauty and warmth and optimism in it, mixed with a truth and rarely shown at the multiplex these days. Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of these kind of movies.
I have a feeling that there's a harsher review than this, so just read it. I have.
Yeah, you can try to find one. I thought this was interesting.
I just have a feeling
So this is a bad review from Candace Frederick of Real Talk Online. She says, if you're one of the many nerdy high school boys plagued with unpopularity and pimples, you'll adore the underdog story Kick-Ass. But if you're one of the rest of us, you probably won't. Fuck you. That's all I got.
Well, this is one off the front page, and this is of Sarah Michael Fetter of MovieFreak.com. This movie made me feel old and out of touch in a way I can't quite describe, and while I can't imagine that's what Vaughn's ultimate goal is, goal, if it was to say he succeeded, would be superpowered understatement. Is there any more bad ones? Like, come on.
There's a couple bad ones, but most of them are just like, it was weird. So I try to get a harsh one.
I know, yeah, because that's like my fucking motto now.
Yeah, and then when I start doing it, because you're busy watching stuff, I'm like, okay, I gotta find a bad one for Zach.
Both its plot and inconsistent message seems like a more than an excuse to show us a man explode inside. Has a man explode inside of industrial strength microwave. That's from Michael Norden. Not coming to a theater near you.
Nice.
Review site.
So, going on to our reviews now. I gave it 8 12-year-olds calling people cunts out of 10. There's actually controversy behind this film based on that, because over in the UK, they didn't like how a 12-year-old was calling people cunts. And I was like, fuck you, that's funny. So,
got him with the hard T.
8 12-year-olds calling people cunts out of 10. So, my little, explanation. In a world saturated by Marvel and DC films, it's a great breath of fresh air when we get something cool and stylized as this, based off of a rather edgy Mark Millar comic book. Wanted was a step in the wrong direction for Millar films, but this and Kingsman brought it all back. Until their sequels, but that's a story for another time.
That is true. And I gave it 8.5 fuck you, Mr. Bitey out of 10. And the reason I gave this is in a perfect world, this film should have never succeeded. But holy fuck, am I happy this isn't the perfect world. Yes, this movie can't hold a candle to its comic book counterpart. Now, though, if you look at it from the eyes that I did 7 years ago when I watched it for the first time, it's a fun and good palate cleanser from your traditional DC and Marvel movies. But with that said, Kick-Ass will always hold a place in my heart forever until someone decides to reboot it. But we'll see.
If they reboot it, they're probably going to go with the new character, so we won't see Dave again.
That
unless they do Kick-Ass 3.
I would like to see Kick-Ass 3. I would like to see a continuation, but of
course... You'd like to see the finale of Dave's story?
Because it's such a good story. It's so good.
There's a rumor going around that there's a Hit Girl solo movie coming out.
If that happens,
not 100%.
Good. Because there actually is Hit Girl comics after...
Yeah, there's a bunch. There's I think, altogether, like, close to 30.
Yeah, it's because she goes all over the world.
Yeah. After Dave is outie Cub Scouty. We do that.
Yeah, because he becomes a cop in 3.
Nice.
So, on that, guys, thank you all for listening. You can follow us on Instagram at Box Office Losers, on Twitter at Box Office Loser, and on TikTok, even though I haven't used that ever since the first time I talked about it. For up-to-date news, don't forget to subscribe wherever podcasts are found. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave a review on whatever podcast platform you're at. Share with your friends, family. Hell, do whatever you can. Hunter, where can we find you?
You can find me at Scruffy Moose Man on most social media platforms. You can also find me every Wednesday at Android's Amazing Podcast. It's a comic book podcast I do with my buddies. This week we talked about Jupiter's Legacy, which is the Mark Millar show that just came out on Netflix. You can also follow me at Farthest Galaxy, which is a Star Wars podcast I do with my buddy. We keep talking about how we're not going to cover the Clone Wars, but we keep covering the Clone Wars because it's awesome. So we're about to finish that up soon. So definitely keep that in mind for when you're checking us out over there. And, yeah. Jack, where can we find you?
You can find me at Dark Shadows Egg literally everywhere. You can also find me on the Sports Hit List on my 2 shows. I don't know a consistent upload date for my new one, but you can catch me every week on the Sports Hit List YouTube page for Pro Wrestling What Ifs. The newest episode, or the first episode of Pro Wrestling What If Champions is up there right now. Give it a watch. You can also catch me every Thursday on the Sports Hit List Facebook page for the AEW Injection. The Thursday that the show for me comes out, we're not covering Dynamite because there is no Dynamite as of recording. So we're just going to do our predictions for the pay-per-view.
Nice.
But other than that, guys, we'll catch you all next time. Goodbye.
Peace.